On Friday, the 20th of September 1878, local cricketers, including members of the Victoria Cricket Club, met in an upstairs room at the Wellington Arms on Freeman Street to discuss the idea of forming a football club to occupy the winter months until the cricket season began again the following spring. Founder members of the club included Jim Coates, Aaron Burnham, Arthur Mountain, Dick Chapman, Andrew Usey, Walter Bridge, Samuel Huxley and local schoolmaster Charles Horne, who became the club's first captain. Charles is thought to have first introduced the idea of winter football to his brother and his cricketing friends when he turned up one day at Clee Park with the Bouncing Demons. But Grimsby were not the first football club to be founded by a cricket team. Although a form of football had been played in England since medieval times, modern association football, as we know it today, officially started in the UK in 1863, with the formation of the Football Association and the first official set of rules for the sport, paving the way for the organised game we see today. Sheffield FC, formed by the Sheffield Cricket Club in 1857, are the oldest amateur club playing today in the Northern County League. Notts County, formed in 1862, are widely recognised as being the oldest professional football club still playing today. The club we know today as Grimsby Town were originally called Grimsby Pelham, the family name of the Earl of Yarborough, who became a patron to the club and is said to have inspired the original strip of blue and white horizontal striped hoops. Sir John Astley was elected the first club president and John Wintringham vice president. The club's first match was played on the 2nd of November 1878. One of only 2 fixtures in the first season, losing on both occasions away to Brig Britannia. The game included the club captain and goalkeeper Charles Horne, Andrew Usey, Dick Chapman and the club's first goalscorer Arthur Mountain. Ranks were swelled by members of the Worsley Cricket Club for their second season, which saw victories over 2 Premier clubs in the town, encouraging the change to Grimsby Town Football Club, a name that continues to the present day. The club's performance continued to improve, and by 1881 they were ready to compete in the inaugural season of the Lincolnshire Cup, where they progressed to the semi-finals with a side that included 2 clergymen, Reverend Flowers and Reverend Charles. The following year, the club entered the Football Association Cup, or as it was sometimes called, the English Cup, with a team that included Harry Evans and Joe Warner. But despite having God on their side in the form of Reverend Flowers, Town suffered their worst defeat in a cup game, losing 9-1 to Yorkshire side Phoenix Bessemer. Harry Monument scored the first FA Cup goal for Grimsby Town. Town performed well in the Lincolnshire Cup that season, including victory over Louth Town, but eventually lost in the semi-finals to Brig Britannia, who played the new 2-3-5 formation, which Town quickly adopted. The rest of the decade saw the club continue to grow and enjoy success under their president, Charles Frederick Carter, eventually winning the Lincolnshire Cup in 1886 after a controversial decision by members of an FA committee who had each been presented with a box of fish. Under Carter's stewardship, Town would later join the Football League. In 1884, the original strip of blue and white hoops was changed to royal blue and cardinal red half shirts, believed to be adopted from the colours displayed on the Earl of Yarborough coat of arms, which also includes a black chevron, akin to the Borough of Grimsby coat of arms displayed on the left breast. In 1883, a new stand was erected at Clee Park Ground from money donated by Alderman Henry Smethurst. Still an amateur club, they were unable to pay players, but attracted talent like Jack Taylor, a joiner by trade, with the promise of work building the new stand. Signings of Scottish international fullback Jim Lundy and future England player Fred Gary strengthened the team as they began to play fixtures with some of the top clubs in the country. When the top 12 clubs formed the Football League in 1888, the ones excluded, including Grimsby Town, formed the Combination League, which collapsed before the end of the first season. But out of this was formed the Football Alliance. Following the sad death of Staveley player William Cropper during the 1888-89 season, after an accidental clash with Mariners fullback Danny Doyle, Sheffield Wednesday, amongst others, refused to play Town. At the time, Doyle was considered by many to be the best left-back in the world and went on to play for Everton and Celtic championship winning teams. The 1889-90 season saw the move to a new home at Abbey Park. The opening game, played on the 1st of August with West Bromwich Albion, was followed by a successful league season. On the 20th of May 1890, Town became a limited company with the issue of 1,800 £1 shares. There followed a successful season, culminating in a record FA Cup victory against Boston Town, a Grimsby Town record which still stands today. In 1892-93 season, Town eventually became a member of the Football League as founder members of Division 2, formed by members from the old Alliance. Their first match against Norwich Victoria resulted in a 2-1 win to Town. Now a professional club, Town were able to invest in professional players. But by the 1894-95 season, the cost of supporting the club in the Football League meant club directors, including William H. Bellamy, had to step in with donations. Buying and selling of players continued in order to walk the fine line between fielding a winning team while balancing the books. One new signing was goalkeeper Alex Noon Wallace, whose erratic performance came to a head in an FA Cup tie against Bolton Wanderers, when he let in 2 easy goals while Town were leading 2-1. Accused of cheating and taking a bung, Wallace never played for the Mariners again. The rest of the decade saw mixed results, but included a 6-1 win over their historic rivals Lincoln City. 1898 saw another change in strip, this time to chocolate brown and blue hard jersey with white shorts. The final year of the century saw Town move from Abbey Park to their current home at Blundell Park. The last game at Abbey Park was against Darwin on the 15th of April 1899. Town won 9-2, which still stands as a club record Football League win. The Abbey Park stands were transferred to the new ground and the new pontoon stand erected at the dock end. Life at the new ground couldn't have started better, with the 1901 season seeing Town lift the Lincolnshire Cup for the 3rd time and win the Division 2 championships, giving them automatic promotion to Division 1, the equivalent of the modern Premier League, for the first time in their history. They were gone to lift the Lincolnshire Cup for 5 consecutive seasons. 1901-02 saw a successful first season in Division 1, finishing 4th with the help of new players, including Blackburn goalkeeper Walter Whittaker, returning for a second spell with Town. Uncivilised scenes at a match against Stoke in the previous season caused a delay to the 1902-03 season, and further new signings, including Newcastle United captain Dave Gardner for a record £250, couldn't prevent Town being relegated, losing at home in the final game of the season to Aston Villa. Despite investigations into match fixing by the so-called Lancashire Ring, the relegation was finally confirmed, and the Mariners began the next season back in Division 2. Lack of finance through the loss of Division 1 status meant many top players had to be sold. Replacements included 20-year-old Charlie Roberts, who went on to become one of the best defenders in English football history, eventually playing for Manchester United and England. Between 1903 and 1919 was a difficult period for Town. At the end of 1909-10 season, they were dropped from the Football League and went down into the Midland League. The club had changed strip on several occasions in the preceding years, but 1910 saw the final change to the familiar black and white striped shirts the club still plays in today. During the war years, the Football League and FA Cup were suspended, A wartime league was formed with the clubs fielding teams from local amateurs and service personnel stationed nearby. The Manchester Regiment, based in Grimsby, provided town with many of their guest players, including Sam Cheetham and Paddy Maguire. Peacetime professionals Alex Ormiston of Chelsea and Webster, late of Tottenham Hotspur, also turned out on occasions for town. Captain Sid Wheelhouse was among several Grimsby Town players who joined the newly formed Footballers Battalion, the 17th Middlesex, which included around 200 professional players with connections to over 60 Football League clubs. The interwar years saw a change for the better, with Town returning to the Football League. But after a shaky start, they were not re-elected to Division 2, but instead became founder members of the newly formed Division 3, which incorporated teams from the Southern League, and therefore remained members of the Football League. First club manager, former Wales international Hayden Price, was appointed in 1920. Form improved from 1924 when Wilf Gillow was appointed the club's first player manager, and Jimmy Carmichael scored his 93rd league goal for the Mariners, breaking Harry Fletcher's previous record. Although only leasing the Blundell Park site, several improvements were made, including replacing the old Abbey Park stand with a wooden construction which featured a roof. The Barrett stand was named after club director Alderman Frank Barrett, whose financial generosity would also lead to the eventual purchase of Blundell Park in 1927. A successful 1925-26 season saw Town the division champions, the reserve team capturing the Midland League and Cup, and record crowds at home games. Although 26-27 was a disappointing season, to the fans' delight, Town beat both Fulham and Wolves. With 24 goals in 26 appearances, Joe Robson finally claimed the centre-forward spot from goal-scoring legend Jimmy Carmichael, and the diminutive Jack Bestall showed the skills that would make him the legend of the club in years to come. A milestone in the club's history came in 1927 when the lease was purchased for the Blundell Park ground, assuring the club's future. Although Town only finished in the mid-rankings of the division, better years were on the horizon.
In the early years of the football club that sort of bring us where we are, it is a place that we're sitting in right now that's behind me, Blundell Park. So in the very early years we were moving around Clee Park, Abbey Park, back to Clee Park, and having a home that's ours and ours to do with as we need to was very important to build the foundations of the success that we built on later into the 30s and first division football. So a limited company as well, so financial stability, growing on the rail network that had come in a little bit before the club was formed, but a lot of players used to come in on the railways on match days, so connections with the fishing industry as well was huge. So kick-off times around the guys on the docks finishing and the pontoon stand, really recognising and making the local community feel part of the club from the really, really early stages.
The next decade would see some of the best years in the club's history. A solid performance in the 28-29 Golden Anniversary season saw them promoted back to Division 1, only being pipped at the post for the League Championships by Middlesbrough. In the 1929-30 season, the Mariners maintained their place in Division 1, finishing in 18th, above both Everton and Burnley, who were relegated. Joe Robson sealed Everton's fate, scoring all 4 goals in a 4-2 win at Goodison Park, even though claiming to be unwell before the game. Early in the following season, he was transferred to Huddersfield Town for a near national record fee of £8,000. 1931-32 was a landmark season for Town, which saw the appointment of George Pearce as chairman. The fans' dismay at the loss of Robson was soon pacified by emerging stars Tim Coleman and Pat Glover. But despite their best efforts, Town were consigned to Division 2 by just 1 point. Pat Glover would go on to become one of the best centre-forwards in Great Britain and holder of many club, league and cup records. as well as scoring 7 international goals in 7 games for Wales, a Grimsby Town international record. The appointment of Womack as manager saw a solid performance in 1932-33, laying the groundwork for the successful 33-34 season that would see Glover score a Grimsby Town career record of 42 league goals in the season and Town as Division 2 champions and a return to Division 1 the following year. In the 1934-35 season, Town finished 5th in Division 1, the highest in the club's history that today would qualify them for Europe. 2 highlights in the golden age came in 1936 and 1939, when Town reached the FA Cup semi-finals. The road to the final in 36 included wins at home against Middlesbrough and away against Port Vale.
Is between 2 teams, neither of which has ever got to the 6th round before. But now they're here, it looks as if the winners of this match may very well find themselves in the final. The weather here is no better than it was at Sheffield, so perhaps there's an element of luck in it when Grimsby score first. But within a few minutes, Middlesbrough have equalised. Then Grimsby go ahead again to lead at half-time by 2 goals to 1. In the second half, Grimsby score 1 more to win the match by 3 goals to 1. And so the 6th round of the 1936 English Cup comes to an end, without the necessity for one replay.
Everton versus Grimsby was a riot of scoring. The fishermen came unstuck against the toffee men after 4 goals had been shared in the first half, and Grimsby lost by 6 goals to 3. Roars and rattles of the Merseyside greet the Everton attacks. Dixie Dean and his merry shooters made many holes in the fishermen's nets.
Sensations of a different kind astonish the crowd at Villa Park, where Grimsby Town, striped shirts, sends Aston Villa, 6 times winner of the Cup and League Championship, down to the foot of the table for the first time in history. Watch Grimsby's 6 goals. First blood by Craven. Then Glover gets going, his first. And another in the first half. And again in the second half, 3 to Glover. Once more, 4 to Glover. It's true, Villa also scored. Here's one of their 2 goals. Dyson gets Grimsby's last. Score 6-2. Poor old Villa.
Port Vale come out first for the match that looks as if it's going to be soccer with a difference, for there's 6 inches of snow on the ground. Grimsby aren't used to this sort of thing, and they come out with their coats on. And then the silence falls. But to Port Vale's great disappointment, Grimsby take their coats off when the game starts, and what a game it is. A rum show and snow mistake. Grimsby know that you have to freeze fish to stop it from smelling, but they can't make out who said they needed freezing. It's a rum show, all right. The more rum inside for central heating, the better. Grimsby attack most of the time, but Potts, the Port Vale goalkeeper, puts in some fine saves. He isn't afraid to stop them, even when it does mean diving into the icebox. It tastes nasty, doesn't it? In the end, Grimsby win by 4 goals to 0. And 22 coals all round.
At Huddersfield, the police make sure of a good place from which to see Arsenal play Grimsby Town, white shirts, in the other prelude to Wembley. The teams start like 2 finalists, and the vast crowd are on their toes to see the fun. Sit down there, we want to see what Hume's going to do. Arsenal cling on to the ball, while agile spectators cling on to the roof, and here it comes. The goal by Bastin that puts Arsenal into the final. It's the only goal of the match, though the fishermen go on trawling, casting their net into troubled waters. But the fish is on the wrong side. So who'll get the cup, Arsenal or Sheffield?
The 1939 semi-final against Wolverhampton Wanderers saw goalkeeper George Milson carried off with concussion after 20 minutes. With no subs allowed, Town were reduced to 10 men and lost 5-0.
After a throw-in, Dorset collides with Moulson, the Grimsby goalie, and a moment or two later, the Wolves get their second, giving them a clear lead of 2 at half-time. From a penalty, it's another goal, and Westcott gets 2 more to make it 5 to Grimsby's 0. So it's Portsmouth for the Wolves at Wembley on April...
Despite the reputation of goal-scoring legends Robson, Coleman and Glover, the club's success in the 1930s was due in no small part to the famed half-back trio of Hall, Beckmead and Buck. But captain Jack Bestall, who retired in 1938, is considered by many to be the greatest player in this golden age of the Mariners' history.
We played at Huddersfield against Arsenal, a 1-0 loss, really tight game, and then the FA Cup semi-final that still holds the record attendance at Old Trafford, losing to Wolves 5-0, and that doesn't tell the story because goalkeeper out injured, no substitutes, so down to 10 with an outfield player, and up until that point we were on top, and I'm sure those that were in the crowd that travelled there, I think on bikes and other ways to get all the way across to Manchester were really positive that we'd reach a first final, but unfortunately not. During the 30s as well, we had first England caps, record goal scorers, so a really buoyant time for us that coincides with the high of the fishing industry.
Under chairman George Pearce, the club would remain in Division 1 until 1948. During the war years, when the Football League was suspended, Town played a series of friendlies until the Football League organised regional divisions. Because of the threat of German air raids on the coast at Blundell Park, home games were played at Scunthorpe United's ground, the old showground. Most of the club's first-team players were called up for duty, and scratch teams were pulled together from players on leave or stationed locally, including Town goalkeeper George Tweedy, who was in the police reserve, and fullback Jack Hodgson, who served as a war policeman, then an auxiliary fireman, and turned out for Town on 234 occasions. Other wartime players included Manchester City and Irish international Peter Doherty and winger Billy Harvey, who would become manager of Town some 23 years later. The Mariners finally returned to Blundell Park on New Year's Day 1944 in a 1-1 draw with Doncaster Rovers. The game was abandoned 10 minutes before time when Town's Ginger Hall refused to leave the pitch after a referee attempted to send him off for an offence which he claimed he was innocent. Football activity picked up after the end of the war in May 1945, and the normal Football League returned in 46-47, using the same fixture list that had been set for the 39-40 season. Town began the season with a veteran pre-war lineup that included Tweedy, Sam Hodgson and Jack Hodgson. 6 new signings included Jim McGowan, who scored the only Mariners goal in a 2-1 defeat to Manchester United at City's Main Road ground. Despite poor performances in the winter months, form returned in the spring with Billy Cairns' 18 goals, helping them finish a credible 16th in the table. The Mariners started the following season with a convincing 3-0 win over Aston Villa in front of a home crowd of 20,500. But despite further wins against Manchester City, Huddersfield Town and Manchester United, a losing streak saw Town finish at the bottom of Division 1, setting several unfortunate club records on the way. New players were brought in to what was considered a weak defence, but some considered the poor performance was more due to the failure to retain possession in the midfield and take advantage of opportunities. Despite a disappointing start, the 1948-49 season saw Town finish a respectable 11th in Division 2 with the help of new signings McKenna, Forrest, Lloyd and McStay. Further new signings for the 49-50 season, including Laurie Mackenzie from Sheffield Wednesday, didn't prevent another poor start, but Town regrouped to finish the season once again 11th in Division 2. When manager Spencer was taken ill in the close season, it was left to veteran goalkeeper George Tweedy to lead the team into the new season as caretaker manager. New signings, including Frank Squires from Plymouth Argyle for a record fee of £8,500, promised better form, including a remarkable game against Manchester City at Blundell Park. Town took the lead and were holding their own with a half-time score at 2-2. But as the second half started, disaster struck when Jock Shearer collided with City keeper Troutman and was stretchered off with a broken leg. With the town down to 10 men, City soon raced ahead to 4-2. The Mariners seemed beaten, but two miraculous goals in the last 5 minutes by Macmillan and Briggs gave Town an unexpected draw against the division leaders. But the form was not maintained and the fans were outraged when Briggs, their top goal scorer, was sold to Coventry City for a club record fee of £19,550. Many of the first team players followed the departing Briggs and Tweedy stepped down as manager. In just 3 short seasons, Town had gone from playing the top teams in Division 1 to finishing 21st in Division 3 North, narrowly avoiding relegation from the Football League. But the new decade would bring new opportunities, new managers and new form that would see Town back in Division 1 by the end of the century. Join us in episode 2 when the rest of the Mariners story is recounted by some of the fans, staff, managers and players who were there.